Good morning. Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak on this 17th day of March 2025. And this morning in studio I have Mheshimiwa Geoffrey Ruku from Mbeere North. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Good morning, Sam.
It's been so long. I've not seen you for several months. I think the last time I had a show with you was last year.
I have been here this year.
Yes, you've been here, but you haven't met.
Yes.
It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
John Kagushi is the Member of Parliament for Mukurweini constituency. Good morning.
Good morning, Sam.
It's good to see you again.
Thank you very much.
And Maurice Kakai Bissau, Member of Parliament for Community constituency. Good morning.
Good morning, Sam.
Have you been here before?
Not in this particular, not on the English version.
Ah, okay. So karibu sana to Daybreak.
Asante.
And we hope that you will enjoy your time here. Also in studio, will be joining us shortly on set is Beatrice Elachi, the Member of Parliament for Dagoretti North constituency. And we're here to talk about different matters, including the assessment of President William Ruto's administration and the performance for the 2.5 years that it has been in office. Also this morning in the papers, how jobs and pay crisis hit families is the main story in the Daily Nation, talking about shrinking pay for employees and job cuts have hit families hard as purchasing power for households has declined in recent years. A parliamentary committee report is showing, and of course you'll see a conversation about what is said to be skewed methods being applied to determine what families pay for university education, and a state-run medical scheme that has seen some unfairly slapped with higher rates. You'll find inside Kenya's political merry-go-round, including the year 2024, the year of Gen Z protesters who stormed parliament. The nation's politics is a riddle wrapped in a mystery where every move defies expectation. And on the front page of the Standard, road tax tyranny, the government's plan to introduce road tolls could generate 4.8 trillion shillings, but at what cost? Critics are saying that it is yet another financial strain on Kenyans, benefiting private firms while raising transport costs. With debt rising and infrastructure needs mounting, is this the solution or just another levy on an already overtaxed public? And of course, we'll be starting off with a conversation about what was happening in the churches yesterday. The Archbishop of ACK spoke about what political leaders should be doing when they appear in church, and saying that from now on, they will not be allowed to address the congregants. Let's first listen to what the Archbishop said on political conversations ban.
From today on henceforth, in any Anglican congregation, and I thank God my bishops are here, there will be no opportunity for any political leader to have a speech in the church. We will mention their names, they will wave their hands, and if they so wish to speak to the congregants, it will be done outside of the sanctuary. And not only today, but in all our dioceses and in all our churches.
All right, that is Archbishop Ole Sapit speaking at that ACK Jogoo Road during the installation of a new bishop. Also joining us is Beatrice Elachi, Member of Parliament for Dagoretti North. Good morning.
Morning.
And it's good to see you. So, Mheshimiwa Ruku, let me begin with you on this one. Listening to what the Archbishop is saying, and this is the culmination of, there has been a conversation between the church and the politicians, and of course, political leaders have been at it, making visits, taking the chance to address the congregants, but also sometimes announcing how much they want to give to the congregants or to the church communities. What's your take on this development?
To me, I think it's a welcome development from the Anglican Church. We have a crop of politicians who are very idle, who don't have any other job to do from Monday to Friday. They wait on Saturday and Sunday to go to barrios and churches so that they can say whatever they want to say. And sometimes they spread rumors and very unfounded grievances. So I think this is a very welcome development as far as I'm concerned, so that this crop of politicians who don't have anything to do during the week, they can try and find something to do during the week.
Those?
Of course, one of them is Rigathi Gachagua, the other one is Kalonzo Musyoka, the other one is Eugene Wamalwa, The other one is...
But they're not the only ones who've been attending churches and addressing.
They tend to say much in churches and barrios. That's their main platform where they tend to address the nation from. So getting and not getting such kind of platform, I think, is very good. Let them find some other platform during the week. They can be able to say whatever they want to say.
How about your side of politics? Because
we are very busy. You have seen what we have been doing in Nairobi County. We have gone through all the constituencies in Nairobi, of course, talking to Kenyans in a very serious manner.
So what have you been doing in Nairobi?
Addressing the Kenyans, the grievances of Kenyans. We have been in Coast, you have been Northeastern, you have been Western. Last week, the president toured the entire of Nairobi region, addressing the concerns of the people of Nairobi who live here in Nairobi. And this will be happening across the country.
So what did the people of Nairobi say? That was addressed by the president?
Of course, they have their own grievances.
Like?
Many of them. One of them is the Nairobi River. They need that river to be properly cleaned and taken care of.
So they said that during that trip?
No, the interactions, you know, Sam,
yeah.
You see the representatives of the people who are there as far as Nairobi County is concerned. If it is where my sister here represents, the president toured that area, and she was there, and she talked about the grievances of the people on behalf of the people of the constituents where she represents. And these are things, these are ongoing conversation, which is extremely critical, being addressed by the head of state, by the head of government. But you find others who don't have such kind of a platform. They will run to the church and barrio to spread rumors and innuendos and all manner of things.
Okay.
So I think the bishop, having said that, is a very welcome development.
Okay. All right. Mheshimiwa Kagushe, do you believe that this is a blow to Mheshimiwa Gachagua and the others that he lists here? But on the side of the bigger picture, what does this solve?
Well, I don't know whether Honorable Ruku here is aware. I was in that church yesterday. And as I moved all the way from University Way down to Uhuru Highway, in all the roundabouts, I found policemen who were stationed at the roundabouts. Some of them GSU with the red, the maroon bellets, all the way to the church.
Yep.
And when I go to the church, I could not be allowed to park inside the church because there was heightened security. And all of us were supposed to be dropped at the gate and park outside, and then you walk into the church from the gate. Something which is unusual when you are visiting a church on a normal day. It was clear to me that there was an expected high VIP dignitary in church. But at the moment when Honorable Gachagua landed in that church, it appears to me that that visit was cancelled. And now when I came back from the church, through the same route, the policemen had already been removed. In fact, at some point during the church service, all the security that was in that church was actually removed. And so that was an interesting observation, maybe not connected.
Which high dignitary do you suspect was to attend?
Well, you know, when you see that kind of security arrangement, it must have been either the head of state or the deputy head of state. So,
Deputy President, you mean?
Yeah. I don't, but then I do not want to confirm anything, but that is just my observation, what I saw along the way. But again, the issue of the stopping politicians from addressing the churches, and definitely what has now become bad manners in church, where politicians have donated huge amounts of money, and of course announced in church and blowing a trumpet about it. And clearly, I suspect what is happening in Anglican Church must have been informed with what happened last week in Kasarani, Roysambu, in the Winners Church, where the Gen Zs and the young people stormed the church and called on the church to be accountable and responsible. Because what they are asking the young people is, you have a facility here in Nairobi which is supposed to be carrying out the blood transfusion services, but it doesn't have the blood bags and the reagents, lab reagents. It doesn't have the test kits to test blood. And so what is happening is that we have no blood in hospitals where Kenyans are suffering and they need that blood. And the amount of money that we require to supply these supplies in the blood donation center is just about 100 million for the next 4 months. But how much? Just about 100 million for the next, let's say for a quarter, that is 3 months. And then you have the government donating 120 million Kenya shillings in a church on a Sunday service. You know, donating 20 million and promising to bring another 100.
Is it a donation from government, really? Or it's
the head of government. Yeah, so that allocation, I mean, that donation, 20 million and then promise of another 100 million, apparently from friends, it's what has sparked anger amongst Kenyans. Because what they're asking, if for sure you're a person of goodwill, why don't you even then donate that money to the blood donation services in Kenya so that Kenyans can access blood who are desperate in hospitals today as we talk? Because we have acute shortage of blood. Why can't you do that? This amount of money you are giving here in this church is sufficient to handle this. So why can't you do that? And that's why you see young people went to storm the church and said, no, enough is enough. Because eventually they know that this money is really not coming from people's pockets, but it's actually coming from taxpayers. So the issue
was your team, now that you were at ACK church yesterday, was your team keen on addressing the congregants?
I mean, we had gone to escort the bishop as he was being consecrated. And by the way, it will happen again this coming Sunday. We will be in Nyeri to witness again the consecration of the new bishop of Nyeri. Whether we are going to talk or not, it doesn't matter. But the issue is that we attend church service.
You haven't answered my question. Were you keen on speaking?
I mean, if there was an opportunity to speak to the people, that would have been taken kindly. It would have been okay. But now that that was not available, it's still okay. There's no problem with that.
So how did your team take that declaration from the Archbishop?
No, we are in solidarity with the church because what we are seeing is that the church is being desecrated and also being used as a platform for money laundering. How would you now give 120 million shillings to a church? Is that money laundering?
I think you're not hearing me. I'm asking, when the Archbishop instructed that politicians will not be speaking and you will not speak, but you'll be recognized in church, how did your team take that information?
No, it was taken okay. You saw us being introduced, and we stayed on until the end of the service.
Well, the good question is, why was the live coverage on TikTok and Facebook, why was it added after the opportunity to speak was not given?
Well, I don't know whether the live coverage was about the church. I don't even know what live coverage you're talking about.
Regarding Gachagwa's live coverage of the event, it was discontinued. Immediately there was an announcement that nobody is going to talk.
Mheshimiwa Kagusha, you need to know that there are people who are watching.
No, you see, that is, I saw that, and I know it's a propaganda that was brewed by his friend, Itumbi. I saw him tweeting that. But when I checked, immediately after he tweeted, the live coverage was still on. And I knew it was just propaganda, just supposed to hoodwink and mismanage the narratives. But that is neither here nor there. What I think the main issue here is that it's okay if the church can stop political speeches in church. I do not see anything bad with that. And I think also all the other churches may also need to pick the cue from that. And
will you still visit churches? You're not allowed to speak.
I mean, why not?
Okay, all right.
Why not? I want to give you an example.
Sorry, Mheshimiwa, I need us to listen to what the leaders spoke in Uasin Gishu. They come from the Kenya Kwanza. They had an opportunity to speak themselves. It was a fundraising event also. Watch.
Kumbu la Torati 16 na 17 inasema kwamba usiende kwa nyumba ya Bwana bila chochote na uende kutoa kulingana na vile Mungu amekubariki. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Kwa hivyo kwa nini tuulize wengine? Unaweza kuleta shilingi moja umeiba na mwingine aleta shilingi milioni moja ila amefanya kazi kwa bidii. Na yote inaombewa.
Kwa hivyo nataka niseme tunajiunga sana na maoni haya ya kujenga makanisa, kwa sababu hapo ni mahali sisi tunaenda kuabudu na ni mahali sisi tunateka baraka kutoka mbinguni. Kwa hivyo hii roho mimi nakubaliana naye sana.
Kama si makanisa, watu wengi leo wangekuwa majambazi. Kama si kanisa, watu wengi hawangekuwa na maadili ya jamii. Kama wewe unapiga kazi ya Mwenyezi Mungu, basi wewe unataka kazi ya nani? Ya shetani. Ujue basi nyinyi kama kanisa, lazima pia nyinyi msimame wima. Msiposimama wima, tutapimiwa mpaka sadaka ile ambayo tunatoa kwa kanisa.
All right. Kanisa isimame wima. Mheshimiwa Kakai,
Yes.
talk to us about your take on this conversation, whether it's political leaders addressing congregants in churches, but also when they make contributions, sometimes they announce, sometimes they don't. What do you think we need to do?
I think, first of all, it's bad manners to go to church and, you know, you want to be seen more than the other Christians. You don't stop being a Christian by being elected. I think what the leaders have just been doing in Kenya is to mutilate and disrespect, you know, the church. To me, I think the ACK Bishop Elisabeth has set the pace, and I think that is what should happen. And it should even be extended to funerals. Mosques, churches, temples, these are sacred places. And in fact, it's very, very clear in the Bible, as much as we're told to support the work of the church or the temple or the mosques, but again, we have to do them in a very discreet manner. My point of divergence here is we've got a leadership that is very, you know, it just changes.
Right.
Today, an example, Ruku here, he really supports the giving. Tomorrow, if he's in the opposition, because I remember when Honorable Ashawa was still in the center of government, he was very active in contributing to churches, etc. But in a nutshell, when we are contributing, we should be silent. It is between you and your God on what you're contributing. Secondly, the issue of going to churches and want to make political statements, we should go there and empathize as Christians or as Muslims and try to work out within, you know, the norms of that particular religion. So to me, I think the church has taken a good stance, and that is what we need to maintain. And we need to be honest, so that we're not just criticizing it now because we're outside government, or we're supporting it because we are inside government. So it has to be very, very balanced. But in a nutshell, that is, in fact, even the sitting arrangement, when you get to church, even if you're an elected leader, you should sit to the nearest seat, not having special arrangements where you have to go on that side. Pray with the others, give what you have to give. That's between you and your God.
When you go to church, where do you sit?
To the nearest seat.
Not necessarily the front.
But yes, sometimes you'll be ushered in. But I'll be more comfortable quietly going in my corner.
And when you're ushered in, you actually take the seat that they're ushering you to, right?
Sometimes you could try to resist, but of course, depending with the church, especially if they know you're not going to church to politic.
Okay.
Yeah, they will always want to make you more comfortable where you want to sit. But even the arrangement, to me, even the seating arrangement, we should not go there and cause commotion.
And you get a chance to speak in those churches?
Yes, but I do keep off politics completely.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. We'll watch. Mheshimiwa Elachi, talk to us. We have discussed this particular issue, especially on giving, for quite some time now with you on the show. But so then where does it take us? Because it depends on who you ask. Opinions are so varied, but at the center of it, there's a question of morality. And a section of Kenyans feel that when you're giving and announcing, it's usually not your money. You've taken it from somewhere else and you're rerouting it. So then what?
Well, Sam, I told you last time, if there's something I'm just getting very disappointed and sad, is every day discussing church and Christians. It doesn't make sense at all to us. It gives me a sense of saying, do I do a church at home? What am I supposed to do? Because we are getting a bit drained by it in real sense, absolutely. And I want to plead also to the bishops now, and you pray for us. I think the Bible says, pray for your enemy. The church has reached a point, it has become revenge. It's vengers, sorry, not revenge, but vengers. And all these are your children. They walk into that church. I walk in, whether I go somewhere small where we have our Father of St. Patrick's, where you go every Monday to Saturday to just thank God every morning. Or those who walk into church at Holy Family, wherever. You know, we walk in to plead to God. And I want to tell all of us, it is God who knows who will enter this heaven. He is the only one who knows me. Whether I can, but the Bible says they will preach to us. It is not for us to judge. So we can't judge our priests at all. But then, politicians, go to your church. Last time I said that, please go to your church. Why would you go to all these churches? Sometimes even I am happy what they're doing, so that I just remain in my church. You know why? Because every church has its own way of doing things. Sometimes you enter a church and you ask God, okay, am I moving out with a blessing, or what has just happened here? So yeah, it has its own spirit, it has its own way of doing things. I remain in my church. And we meet at other places. There are other functions we can meet with the people.
But eventually, when these sentiments have been coming, some quarters have received it as a war. I remember hearing the president saying that he has been reading the Bible for a very long time, and he didn't see anywhere that when you give to God, the bishop gives it back. Such kind of contest, how do we avoid it?
That's why I'm saying it brings a lot of vengeance, both sides, you know. It won't even help. You know, when you're giving this sacrifice, you're giving so that you can also be blessed. You're not just giving. You take it as a sacrifice for me, for that week, also to get blessings. Well, that's what I believe in. Okay. Even the small offertory that I take, I don't just take offertory because Sunday we are supposed to take offertory. I take it and pray on it that my Father in heaven will open doors for me. And I'm hoping every Christian in this country does the same. But then, having said that also, let us not also as big churches forget we have small churches. What do you want them to do? Because they are the ones sometimes who come and they are the most, they will tell you, we have this challenge. They are there, they are small. Do we close their doors? Do we close those doors?
What do you mean in that?
I mean, we have mainstream churches. So we have my church, the Catholic. We have the ACK Church. We have the Methodist Church. You have PCA Church. We have Salvation Church. We have those ones, do you know, have no need of politicians. The church will survive. The church will run itself. But now let's come to the small evangelical churches that are trying to build themselves. Where do we throw them? When they come to you and say, Mheshimiwa, we need something. We need a pulpit. We need this. Where do you throw them? Because whether I do it silently, whether I do it shouting, in the end of the day, where did I get the money?
And those needs can only be addressed by politicians?
No, it can't. I'm just saying they have come to you. Well, some believe that way. It's unfortunate. You see, you're talking to us politicians. Have you talked to the congregation? What about if one day that congregation turns around the way I saw in Kirinyaga, a bishop being thrown out? Yeah. Is that what we want in our country? So we have to balance. You have to look at the congregation.
Yep.
And remember, it's the same Kenyan congregation. It can become very wild, and you also wonder what to do. So let us, for me, what I'll say, our big churches, the Catholic has said it, we do it. The Anglican now has said it, they do it. The small churches, if they call in, if they do whatever they are doing, that is their church. Do not come and vilify that church. Okay. That why did they welcome? Why did they do this? Because like now, this one of Wasingishu, it is a tradition for the last 10 years that I have seen, even during former president and deputy then and now president. Those churches used to sit at this time in March, and they do their fundraising for all the 21 churches in Uasin Gishu.
Okay.
So it's a tradition. So what do you do with such a congregation is another question. So for me, what I'll say is this. If in my church, this is how we believe, that when you come to our funeral, which me, I want to even thank our fathers of St. Catherine, Siena. Because indeed, even me, I always ask, what is the purpose to go in a funeral? If in the end you will come, speak, and walk out, then don't come to our funeral. Don't.
All right.
Because the best is to come and pray for the soul that has is laid there. So that for me, that one, I will agree. In funerals, it is the worst we are doing. It is wrong what we are doing as politicians. We must stop that culture.
All right.
Yes.
Mheshimiwa, let us take a short break here and we'll come back and talk about the performance of the current administration for the 2.5 years. Of course, so much has changed, especially politically. Let's talk also about the socio-economic affairs that formed the critical issues of the manifesto in 2022. Stay tuned. You're back in a moment.